India and the Indian Airforce buying one of the biggest air tankers for its Air Force from France, along with the Gulf countries are lining up to buy India's Brahmos missile. The Indian government is currently considering a French offer to buy Airbus 330 multi-role transport tanker aircraft to the Indian Air Force in a government-to-government deal, reported by the Hindustan Times. These mid-air refuellers will be key to extending the strike range of Indian Air Force and the Indian Navy jets. The Airbus 330 is capable of simultaneously refueling two aircrafts or two fighter jets due to a central refueling boom system. The multi-role aircraft can also be used to transport 260 passengers and can also serve as an air ambulance. According to the South Bloc sources, while the Indian Air Force wanted to get the Airbus 330 on a wet lease from the British company, the French proposal involves selling 5 to 7-year-old aircraft for the Indian Air Force with the certification of another 30 years of the platform life at a much reduced rate. The jet is equipped with a powerful engine which allows the jet to operate in a high altitude like Leh and the Ladakh. While India is also pushing its defense products for exports, the new news comes in just days away before the Indian Chief of Army Staff, General M.M. Narvane, visit to UAE and Saudi next week, during which he would be meeting many officials apart from his counterparts from the Middle East nations, including the Qatar, UAE, and Saudi Arabia, have manifested their interest in acquiring the Brahmos missile of India. The mid-air refuelers are key to expanding the operation envelope of the Indian Air Force and the Indian Navy carrier-based fighter jets by extending their range. According to the former Indian Air Force chief, a mid-air refueler can be used to extend the flight of Su-30 or the Rafales flying from Port Blair all the way to the Sunda, Lambar or Malacca Strait for the freedom of navigation missions. For instance, the Su-30 MKIs, which are considered the backbone of Indian Air Force, cannot carry external fuel tanks due to their already huge internal fuel capacity and requires a mid-air refueling to conduct the operation at longer ranges. Like in the recent test when Su-30 MKI took off from the Air Force base in Punjab carrying a Brahmos missile refueled mid-air and struck a target in Bay of Bengal. It was earlier reported that the Indian Air Force has been unsuccessfully trying to acquire new generation flight refueling aircraft for the past 14 years. The matter came to the forefront when India's 5 brand new Rafale fighter jets underwent mid-air refueling over the Mediterranean Sea with the help of the French Air Force Airbus A330 multi-role tanker transport aircraft. The Indian Air Force currently has a 7 Russian IL-76M refueler to meet its mid-air refueling needs, with Pakistan acquiring same 4 refuelers from Ukraine and China operating 3 same Russian refueler along with the vintage 10 other modified version of the Russian bombers. India was testing multiple of its Brahmos missile. It has indeed worked well for the Indian-Russian joint venture. Along with Chinese aggression and asserting own dominance in the region, Brahmos serves as a credible deterrent against the hostile vessels, being the only successful and operational supersonic anti-ship cruise missile in the world, which even has a land-based and aerial-based variants which have been considering success and been already integrated with the Su-30 fighter jets of Indian Air Force. So what do you think of India and the Indian Air Force buying one of the biggest air tankers for its Air Force? Well, the Gulf countries are lining up to buy India's Brahmos missile. India will attack China surprisingly, says China, and also it says that India is the one who is leading the US against China. Also, India is expecting a two-front battle with China and Pakistan, says an IAF officer. At a time of rising tensions along the line of actual control with China and the increasing tension with Pakistan, Indian Air Force on Friday said it was ready for undertaking operations simultaneously on both the fronts. China should stay alert as India can launch a surprise attack, said a retired Chinese general. In an article published on Li Jian, a defense-related social media account of Wang Hongwen issued the warning saying that the danger of the conflict has increased, and with the incidents in the Taiwan Strait and the upcoming US presidential election might present India with an opportunity to do something big. India needs only 50,000 soldiers at the line of actual control. But now, instead of withdrawing troops before the winter comes, India has added 100,000 more troops in the Ladakh region, Wang quoted in the article. He further said that India has tripled its troops along the LAC, which could easily cross into China in few years, as they are stationed within 50 kilometers of the Chinese territory. Mr. Wang, a former deputy commander of Nanjing military region, which is now part of the Eastern Third Command, said that China cannot afford to let its guard down before mid-November. He said India had occupied commanding heights at various points along the LAC and upgraded infrastructures at an accelerated pace since 2014, suggesting China's move this summer were aimed as a counter. He said he had visited Yarang in Tibet, in the Sikkim sector of the border, but did not go near the Pangong Lake in Ladakh. His message to the Chinese public was that the relations were, even before the May tensions, on downward trajectory, as seen in India's move in April to tighten curbs on the investment from China. And following the flare-up on the border, he argued that this is all more clear. He also said that we may still continue to pursue the line of thinking that the main pressure we are facing is from United States and not India, he said. But the fact is, India and United States today have become a single entity. In some respects, it is India which is leading the US and is becoming a leading anti-China force. India's Defense Minister Rajnath Singh on Saturday said, "Today in 2020, Indian Armed Forces engage with Chinese forces on an equal footing and have developed strong capabilities to give a befitting reply." At a forward airbase from where Pakistan is 50 kilometers and the strategic Daulat Beg Alde in 80 kilometers, an activity of fighters and transport aircrafts and helicopters is going on day and night with the Indian Air Force. Due to the tensions along the border with China, fighter aircrafts are operating both day and night, and the transport aircraft are continuously flying in and out of the Air Force base with troops, rations, and ammunition in the eastern Ladakh. Earlier, the airbase in the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir came under watch after a Chinese refueling aircraft landed in Sharkudo, Balochistan region in June of 2020. So what do you think of China saying India might attack China surprisingly while the US elections or a Taiwan-China conflict? Will India face a two-frontal battle with China and Pakistan?